Well, my rental house got hit by a tornado. There's the Quonset hut. There's the house. House is unlivable now. Fortunately, we own the neighbor's house already. And so I got to move this thing a mile down the road. Mover says, shed mover says it's got to have all the weight out of it. But by the time I take all the weight out of it, might as well move it myself on my own trailer. I figure this thing probably weighs 6,000 pounds or so after I've added all the insulation and OSB on the interior and everything. So I've got a big enough gap in the middle. It's a 14 by 24 shed, and I'm using railroad ties to lift this thing up using a cribbing method. I can't lift in the middle on the front because of this doorway here. It bends. So corner, and then in the center on the rear, I got to get it up to about 35 inches or so. It can be pretty high once I'm done, but I can back my trailer underneath it and then move this thing. So I've got one more layer I got to do before this is high up enough for my trailer. You better know what you're doing with this stuff. This is really sketchy. A couple things I've learned is that these railroad ties, they're kind of straight in one direction. In the longer direction, or the shorter direction here, they're pretty nice and flat and straight, but you can see on the left and the right sides, they're not very straight. And you can tell I've got the bottom layer and the taller orientation, but that's really not the best way to do it unless you know that your ties are nice and square in that direction. Plus, they're not as stable when you do them that way. Another thing I learned is these railroad ties are harder than all get out, and they're going to wear your chainsaw chain out pretty quick. I've cut them into thirds here to do what I'm doing. I cut them about 34 inches long, and your chain's going to heat up and stretch and wear out. So I'd have a couple of them ready to go for you tie into a project like this. Alright, got my trailer, or I got my shed on the trailer. I broke my phone all to hell crawling around in the gravel. So I got to use this reverse lens now to get a good video of everything. Lifted it up on, apologize if I'm not aiming this right. Got a couple ties underneath it so it doesn't hit my fenders. And I'm all ready to go, ready to move this. 10,000 pound trailer is what it is. I reckon this building probably weighs 6,000 like it sits. Unfortunately, it's hanging over the back a little bit. It's been up there for 3 or 4 days. You can see it sagging just a little in the back because there's so much overhang. But should be fine. Got a nice level spot to put it in its new place, and it should settle back out, I reckon.